Hi, everyone. All right, TikTok video reactions are coming to this channel. That will include current trending reactions as well as some past ones that deal with student loan and consumer debt. So I hope you enjoy it. Nothing in this channel is changing. It is simply an addition to what has already been created. The TikTok ones will be a lot shorter as far as reactions, but I think you'll like it and I think it'll be a nice extension. All right, so here we go, Dave Ramsey. This video ran literally just like hours ago, and it's titled She Gets None of Your Money. I'm watching this for the first time with you, so let's go ahead and take this on down and let's get started. And thank you so much for joining me.
Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Kinsey is with us in Tacoma, Washington. Hi, Kinsey. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Better than I deserve. How can we help?
So my husband and I have been on your plan off and on, but we've paid off all our debt at one point, and then I was stupid, got back into it. But we're like scorched earth, really, really on this plan to get out of debt. And one of the driving forces is we want to cash flow our kids' college. Well, and this is like the perfect day listening to all of these kids having, or adults having to pay for college again, all their stuff. Anyways, I have told my kids, I have a 21, 19, and a 17-year-old girls, and I've told them since they were in middle school, we will pay for college, but you have to live at home. And you have to go to a school that we approve of. You have to have good grades, but we will cash flow your school. We're not doing that. We have been very
I hear nothing here so far that I disagree with, and these kids have known this since middle school. I hear absolutely nothing that I disagree with. This is wonderful. These parents are aware. We need more parents like this, from what I can tell, 1 minute and 13 seconds into the video. I hear this is wonderful. Open discussion with the kids so that they know what the rules and expectations are. That's wonderful.
transparent about the struggle we've had with debt, the night, the sleep that we
Yeah,
lost,
that's
everything
fine.
like that.
I
We've
did the
been
same
very
thing.
vocal.
I did the same thing except the live at home part.
Why do you add that? You have to live at home.
Because I don't pay for other people's rent. So
Oh, okay. I don't pay for other people's rent. She's basically saying, I'm not going to pay for you to live somewhere else and support someone else's, what is it? Someone else's child to live there. Okay, I can understand that. That might seem a little, the comment itself, I don't pay for other people's rent, might seem a little strict, but she does have that right to be strict. It is, their money and they're laying it out for the kids to know. And from what I can hear also, she said, if I'm correct, that they've discussed with the kids some of the financial hardships and they're trying to make sure as a family, as responsible parents, they don't go back into that hardship. Okay, I really can't disagree so far.
where I live, there are so many colleges within 20 minutes of our home.
That's the way ours was. I was raised around the University of Oregon. I could walk to college. Okay. It was probably all of maybe, when you're young, you can walk everywhere and, nothing hurts and aches. Okay. I couldn't do it today at 56 with two bad knees. But back then, it was probably, I don't know, not 3 miles. Yeah, maybe 3 miles, it was easy. It was easy. Okay, super easy. I could bike there in 10 minutes. It was just a straight shot up the road. This is a small town, Eugene, Oregon, safe. Yeah, and then there was a community college that you could hop on a bus and go up the hill.
That there is no reason for you to not live at home.
Okay, so it's your
And
money and
if
those
you-
are your rules. What's your question?
So my daughter,
Let me guess. Let me guess. The youngest child doesn't want to live at home because I think she said she had a 21, a 19, and a 17. So they're going to deal with assuming it's going to deal with the 17-year-old who's getting ready to graduate. I could be wrong, but it says here she gets none of your money. This is all I go by is what the Ramsey title is. I'm willing to bet that the youngest wants to change it so she doesn't have to live at home. Okay. Now I was kind of lucky because when I went to college, my mother didn't force me to live at home. I think she was happy to have all the kids out. To be totally honest, You get those Hallmark commercials, and you got the grieving parents, and they're just broken up because the last child or the first child or any child is leaving home. Oh, hell no! I think at our house, I think my mother had a party. I think she was like, "I've raised four girls. We're out of here." Okay, so I mean, she didn't throw us out, nothing like that. But I mean, I could not relate to that grieving, couple that or single parent that's crying over their child leaving for school. Of course, we were just minutes away, and that may have tampered the grief a bit.
Refuses to stay home
Bingo.
and go to school. She wants to go to a
Bingo.
state school,
Let me back
but
up.
to stay home.
Hold on.
That there is no reason for you to not live at home.
All right.
Okay. So it's your
And
money, and
if
those
you-
are your rules. What's your question?
So my daughter refuses to stay home and go to school. She wants to go to a state school, but she wants to go to WSU, which is over in Pullman, which is 6 hours away.
Cool.
Well, my immediate reaction is, we've told you the rule. This is my immediate reaction. Now, I could change as I hear more of the story. Okay, fine. Then you need to go do that. You need to work to earn that money. That would be my first reaction. And she says, fine, I'm just going to go and take student loans. That's when we're going to have a come to Jesus meeting. And I'm going to sit her down in front of YouTube and watch every student loan horror story. Okay? And I'm not being facetious here, okay? Every student loan horror story, and make her research student loan and student loan debt and all of that stuff before I allow her to do that. If she's going to, I can see where this is going. Okay. Some parents would say, okay, fine. You want to go to that, you pay the difference. You have to pay for your cost of living, whatever. But the problem is, if she takes out student loans, she could, she, her financial future could be in jeopardy. And as a parent, I don't want my child's financial future in jeopardy. If I know they're walking off a cliff, I want to do something. I'm going to want to save them, but in a way that makes them come to the realization that they're walking off a cliff, not me allowing them to walk off the cliff and then saving them, because then they haven't learned anything. They're just going to keep walking off of cliffs. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense.
And they require you to live on campus, and you have to have the food program, which is about $2,500 to $4,000 a year.
So she's opting out. Hold on. This is very simple. She's opting out of your rules. She opted out.
Yes. And
She is 18 years old. She will be. She can legally take on those loans by herself. She can legally do it. Now, I would not deny her the difference in tuition. Okay, I would tell her she is an adult. See, this is the hard part too, folks. And I admit, I'm not a parent, okay, but my instinct is I want to save my child from stupid decisions. But some decisions have to be made, and the consequences have to be suffered through before we learn. Right? But I would look at the tuition the mother has paid for the other two children, or whatever, whatever the tuition is for the school at that time, because obviously inflation and all of that. Okay. I would look at the current tuition that the mother would pay were the child living at home, going to school, and then tell the child, you're on your own for the rest. But that's not until like I said, I would have a come to Jesus meeting with this child. I would not just tell her, hey, you go take on the rest and walk away, and let her become one of the naive, uninformed people about student loan debt. I would inform her. I would walk her through all the findings of student loan debt. I'm telling you, make her subscribe to this channel. I would do that. Whatever it takes for her to realize it.
it's very difficult for me.
Absolutely. And I've dealt with my entire career has been spent sitting with parents. And you drew a hard line, a very hard line. And you
Very
said,
clear line.
A very clear line.
I am going to admit on that. I have to support them on that. They may seem strict, but it's not like we are talking rules that are that are difficult to understand. Everybody may not like their rules. They might think the parents need to give a little more. But let's remember what the mother said at the beginning. We have been through financial hardships. They basically don't want to go back there. Okay? They don't want to go back there. and they should not go back there. If it can be avoided, they should not. Their daughter needs to be given information about student loan debt, the consequences of debt. Okay? But the daughter ultimately is going to be 18 years old and can make her own decision. I would not ruin a parent-child relationship over that. It might be a hard lesson learned for the child, but I would not ruin a relationship over it. It's not worth losing your child because they're going to make a dumb decision. Because if that were the case, I would have been lost as soon as I was adopted.
This is the way this is going to be. And she said, cool, I'm going that way. And so the other side of a very clear, very firm, hard line is other people can say, well, then I don't want anything to do with that boundary.
But that doesn't obligate you to pay.
No, it doesn't mean.
Exactly. And again, some people are going to see these parents as strict. They're strict. But it's not strict. See, this is what we need parents to do when it comes to keeping kids out of student loan debt. You can't save every kid. Even sometimes your own. But this is what we need parents to be doing. My mother did that with me. Okay, when I wanted to go to Reed College, which is a private school in Oregon, of course, this is in the 80s, and it was a whole lot cheaper than it is now, but income all relative. My mother sat me down and she said, Carrie, we can't afford it. I know you've been accepted into it, but we can't afford it. So she said to me, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pay for you to go to the University of Oregon. I will cover your tuition. You will work, a 15-hour-a-week part-time job, another 10-hour-a-week work studies. That had me working about 25 hours a week. My mother didn't want me working full-time and going to school full-time. So I worked, about 25 hours a week. She said, I will pay for your tuition. I will help you find a little apartment somewhere. We found a cute little garage. Cute for a college student. Okay. But it was a little converted garage, and that was what I wanted. She knew I wanted my space. She knew that I wanted my space. And I was like maybe all of 2 miles from home. Okay. And I think the rent, thinking back in the late 80s, okay, rent was like $300 a month, okay, to live in this little converted garage. And I was just, a half-mile walk or so off the University of Oregon campus. I met my obligation, did my work study, did my part-time job working at Wendy's. Okay, got fired from a couple places for being too social. Well, I had my friends I had to talk to when they came in. All right, but hey, that's part of growing up, right? That's what I did, and that's how we compromised it. And I never went to Reed College, and I was absolutely elated to graduate from the University of Oregon. In fact, I thanked her afterwards, because the experience was not stressful to my mom. She could afford it, and I still got the independence I wanted.
I mean,
she gets none of your money, right?
No, I said I would help with some groceries.
No. She gets none of your money.
That's the rule you set up.
None of your money.
Yes.
No, she opted out.
But it's like it kills me when you see your kid running
Yep.
into.
It's really
Yes, it hurts. I'm not a kid. I mean I don't have kids, but as a teacher, okay, and any teacher can tell you, you can try to help a student. Okay, you can give them everything under the sun. It can be just submit something to me, and they still choose not to do it. You can't stop everyone that you love or care about from making a bad decision. Some people have to experience it, Some people, you can tell them the stove is hot, they'll walk away, and others will be like, well, let me touch it with my hand first to make sure it's actually hot, okay? So you can't save everyone. And if the mother is willing, this is the only thing I could think of is, okay, let's say the daughter does it. She does it for, half a year and realizes, oh, Mom, this is really expensive. I can't afford it. Can I come back home? I think the mom should absolutely say yes. Now, I would never, again, I'm not a parent, but I would never close the door to my child and say, no, you can't come back and let's regroup. But you're still responsible for that first portion of the bill that you took out. Okay? That's what I would say. Yeah. The door is always open, okay? Come back home, we'll resituate you. But the costs that you incurred when you said no, and you basically hauled out, you are responsible for that. That's what I would do.
It's really heartbreaking to watch people you love do stupid butt things.
Thank you. Snaps.
But you don't get to vote anymore once they're adults.
Snaps again. Oh, I am on a roll. Oh,
And the same
And
as
then
if your parents started spending their money and they were in their 80s, and it's heartbreaking because they keep sending money overseas to somebody who cares about what I mean.
they send money to a romance scammer, and you're like, look, look, anybody that's if they claim that they work for the government, no, let's better yet. I'm stuck on an oil rig and I can't get Wi-Fi unless you send me $5,000 every other week. Well, why can't you get Wi-Fi? Because I'm stuck on an oil rig and there was a big fire and now all the guys we're all stuck and I can't get a lifeboat unless you send me money. Okay? And you keep trying to tell them, look, this be a big scam, and they're like, no, and they write out the check and send it. Okay? Some people, they have to touch the stove to know that it really is hot.
Or your best friend buys $100,000 worth of crypto because he's an idiot.
Or your best friend or one of your, I had a good friend, and I remember telling her the school she was going to, this was like 20 years ago, she was going to one of those Corinthian schools, the ones that, got sued and a bunch of students finally got their money back. And I remember telling her, you're going to a school that's defunct. Of course, I went to the University of Phoenix, but I mean, she was really going to a school that was defunct, okay? Any school that advertises in the middle of the weekday, that's not the school you want. Any school. If you see an advertisement, do you ever wonder, like I live in Florida, you ever wonder why the Gators don't have to advertise? Because they don't, a lot of people want to go there. They don't need to advertise. Reputable schools have to do very, very little to no advertising. Always remember that.
I
You
mean,
can't stop him from
one of
doing
the
it.
hardest things is when you love somebody and they're doing hard things that are not going to be good for them.
And so also if she signs up for all of these loans and things because she has nothing saved, she's not doing
She has to pay them
scholarships,
back.
Bingo.
She's making a
But
choice.
do I have
No,
to
you're
fill
not
out
liable.
paperwork?
You're not liable.
Nope. No. Do not pay her loans back. Do not pay her loans back. No. Absolutely not. But always keep the door open for her to come back and live under your rules if she decides 6 months in she's made the biggest mistake of her life. But again, I would insist that she watch videos on student loan debt. If I had to do one thing, again, she's an adult. You can't stop her. Okay? You can't. But you can encourage her to say, look, you know what, honey, you clearly have your mind made up, but I'd like to sit down together and would you give me 1 hour so we can watch student loan debt horror stories together? I'm just saying, you know what? If the internet had existed like this, okay, because the internet really didn't come into play for me till I was 26, 27. That's when I got my first computer and the AOL dial up with that screechy, horrible dial up noise, okay? The internet, I'm sure, can revolutionize lives. Not, I'm sure it does, okay? I would do my best to get her to at least learn about student loan debt. But that's really the most you can do.
Liable. Don't sign anything. I refuse to participate in your insanity. I love you too much to buy your cocaine. You're an addict.
Okay.
She opted out. She opted out.
See, she thinks, this is the reason we're being so strong on this. I know what she thinks. She thinks you're going to give her money anyway.
And I can't. I have two other girls that one
Doesn't
moved out,
she?
I stopped.
Does she think that?
She does think that, but
Yeah.
I have to hold.
Parents need to hold their ground. Parents cannot cave when it comes to something like this. They must stand their ground. My mother stood her ground. There was no cry me a river, you want to go to this school, we can't afford it. Nope, it was pretty darn simple. We can't afford this school. I can take you to the University of Oregon. I can help put you into a little apartment, and we did. She had a school teacher friend who, like I was saying earlier, had a little garage that we could rent. Okay? A lot of the times also, and I understand this, the kid probably just wants out of the house. That's part of it. But the parents since middle school have made it very clear what the expectations were. See, this is part of the reason I can back up the parents. This wasn't sprung on the kids as a surprise. There wasn't a, oh, gee, you always told us we could go to any school in any part of the state, in any part of the country. No, they were very clear. Look, we got community colleges, we got universities. We have, okay, I get a little casual, all right. We have all this stuff. There's no need for you to go elsewhere. There was no need for me to go to Reed College 2 hours away in Portland when Eugene had the university 2.5, 3 miles up the road. There was just no need for me to attend a private school.
True, because my oldest moved out, so we stopped school.
Yep.
Our middle one is staying home. We're paying for school.
Yep.
So we have to stay true to what we
Yes.
said.
It's unfair to the other two for you to not have integrity.
Correct.
Zero help.
I commend the mom for calling in to get verification, but it also worries me. Why should a parent have to call into a national radio show to stand their ground? Think about that. It's a little worrisome. Now do you see how parents wind up making bad decisions along with their kids? I don't hear anything here that I disagree with. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Now, does that mean there aren't other ways that some other parents might accept it? That some parents might go, okay, you can go to the other school, all right, but you need to, have some sort of compromise. You need to do a work study job. I mean a part-time job, and you must kick in, 15% of your bill each month, whatever. The other parents may have their own, alterations and compromises. But as far as what I've heard here, okay, I think it's outstanding that this was so well communicated. But it does worry me. And I think people should realize this is how difficult it can be for parents to make the right decision. They're calling into a national radio to see should they stand their ground. And we wonder how parents get off track and wind up taking on Parent Plus loans that they can't afford to pay back. Because, and and remember, I may not be a parent, but I've worked with parents for 18 years. There can be a lot of guilt, anxiety, whatever, in, am I doing the right thing for my child? Should I be worried that I'm not doing the right thing? Is this fair? And all of that. So the fact that the parent is calling in is commendable, but it's also scary. Okay, it's also scary because this shows you how weak at the knees some parents can be when it comes to you need to stick to your financial budget and your decision. You don't need verification from somebody else that what you're doing is right. I'm glad she's calling in to get it. But in a perfect world, there should be no question. She shouldn't have to call anybody. Her rules, her home, her budget. There's nothing here that's illegal. There's nothing here that's unjust. Okay? So that's the only worrisome part. And now we can see how a lot of parents wind up in student loan debt over the emotion, because that seems to be what she's battling is, I want to help my baby girl, but nah. Baby girl's 18. She's going to be 18 years old.
Now,
Yeah.
listen, the one thing I have learned, and I think it's the hardest stage of parenting, is being a parent to people who are grown up. Because they're allowed to vote now. I can't tell them what to do anymore. I can't use my dad voice.
And remember, I was just saying earlier, she's 18, okay? She can take on the debt if she wants. She can listen if she wants. I'll tell you, my mom was very clear. You live under my roof, you will follow my rules. Or even if you're not under my roof, you're spending my money, you will follow my rules. Ah.
It no longer works. I can only use it on the radio on a listener, but I can't use it on my kids. But that doesn't even work there, actually. But, I can't use my dad voice anymore. Not even the dog listens to my dad voice anymore. It's just gone. I lost my dad voice. Because, I have to use persuasion with everyone now.
I think one of the things that I would think of if there was going to be any change to the rules, and I don't think there should be, I really, really don't in this case, but it's introducing her to the world of adulthood. And this is part of the reason she can't change, because now her daughter needs to see her daughter needs to have experience making adult decisions and accepting adult consequences. That's really what this is about. And if the mother tries to jump in and start adapting everything and all of that, the daughter's not going to learn. I know my parents understood my financial struggles when I was younger. Okay, no doubt they understood. They understood when I had my first bankruptcy. All right, they understood all that stuff, but they never bailed me out, and I'm glad they did not, because had they bailed me out, it's not that I wouldn't have learned. I'd have still learned, okay, what I did was wrong, what I did was dumb, but I would not have learned how to change my behaviors so I could have a better outcome. When I had bankruptcy number one in my 20s over credit cards, and I had bankruptcy number two in my early 30s, 10 years later, okay, over a car that I couldn't afford, had my parents attempted to bail me out of each one of those, and financially they could have, because the bankruptcies, honestly, dollar wise, they weren't that much. What was the bankruptcy one was 23,000, bankruptcy two was 16,000. Hey, you know what? I've always said, you know what? This is my life. I'm not going to stick it out there like it's just been perfect and wonderful, okay? It is what it is. These are my life experiences that have helped lead me to where I am today, okay? But if my parents had not allowed me to go through adult decisions and accept adult consequences, I would not have known how to change my behavior. I would not have known how to change my way of thinking. Instead, they just watched me go through it. And some people may say, well, that's just so cruel. It's more cruel to bail me out. It's more cruel to save me. Because what you're, and again, you're talking to someone who's been bankrupt twice, okay? It's more cruel to bail me out and say, oh, we don't want to see you hurt. We don't want to see you upset. But because they never bailed me out, it forced me to rethink my actions. It forced me to learn how to change my responses to certain situations. And I remember my mother, my late mom, telling me years ago, she said, I would rather have you learn this stuff now in your early 20s and 30s. So she would say, when you get to be older, 50s, 60s, okay, even your 40s, she said, you're not learning it later. And it was incredibly wise. And I'm sure, my parents, I'm sure it bothered them to see me making the decisions I made, buying a car that's too much money, spending too much on credit cards. But it also forced me to have to deal with my shopping addiction. It forced me to have to go, what is wrong in my life? Because my parents know, they knew there's going to be a day when they aren't going to be there. What am I going to do? How will I respond? What have my parents taught me to do? Right? So these parents, this couple needs to stand their ground. I mean, be willing to die on that cross. Let her make her mistakes.
And so my grown kids get the exact same approach when I disagree with them that one of my good friends would get. I either just stand back and watch and hold my nose, or I sit down beside them and I go, I love you. And I've got some ideas here of some dumb things I've done in the past, and it kind of looks like some of the stuff you're thinking about doing. Would you like some advice from an older, wiser friend? If you say no, then I have to shut up. But if you say yes, I'll give it to you. And you have to go at it, like I've got a friend, I've got friends my age who have grown kids that are in their 30s and 40s. One of them called us the other day and said, hey, we have teenagers. You raised 3 great kids. Can we take you to dinner? We want to ask you how to do that. So I have to use, but what I told them was persuasion. I didn't get to tell them what to do.
Right.
They ask, and I get to tell them what I thought. And
And I like that approach. My parents, as I've made it through my life to age 56, they haven't agreed with all my decisions. And I'm talking even the good ones, okay? But they did come to learn that, as I slowly found myself and started crawling out of my, horrible 20s and 30s, and I started to find myself, they started to go, okay, well, maybe she has learned something. And life slowly starts to get better. But that's because I was driving my own life. And what I don't want to see these parents do is cave into their child and they become the driver of their child's life. Because what are they going to do what's that child going to do when the parent's not around anymore? You know?
But that's how you get. That's how John persuades me, or I persuade John. Same thing. That's all you can do. But you might want to try that because I got a feeling in your frustration you've used your mom voice.
Oh, absolutely.
And your kids called your bluff, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I've been working really hard on not talking at them, but talking with them.
Did you say this is
I've been
3 girls?
I have 3 girls. Yes.
Where's Dad in this conversation?
So he backs me up. We're in a different, like, we're almost out of our debt. And so he's kind of weighing, like, okay, maybe we do this. And I said, no, we have to hold true.
Yeah, so-
And like I said, do you see how parents wind up in Parent Plus loan debt for their kids? It's a real, parents can argue over should we take out the Parent Plus loan. One person says, yeah, we should take it out. The other says, no, we can't. Then the other one claims that you're too cheap. It's a battle, but yet it really shouldn't be. It is my opinion that the couple's finances come first. Anything that they can put towards their child's education, as long as it doesn't put their own finances, their own retirement, medical care, and all those needs, as long as those are not in jeopardy. The kids are younger. Kids have more time to make it up, assuming they don't take out some ridiculous $250,000 student loan if they can possibly help it to get a public service job.
So that's what I meant.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I meant.
So
I want him to come around front of this instead of you.
Yeah.
And I want him to take his daughter to coffee and say, "Baby doll, I love you." And as somebody who loves you, not as your dad, I think you're making a mistake here, and I want you to rethink it.
And also it would show that the parents are in unity. And sometimes, because my mom raised 4 girls, sometimes you just need to hear somebody else. It's just like a teacher in a classroom. I'm sure my students get tired of hearing me blab all day, okay? And yet I can bring in somebody else and they're just like this. And part of it's because it's different stimuli. They need it.
And I also want to challenge you on something too.
Okay.
Not on this particular one, but I'm challenging the bedrock that you've anchored into. One of the greatest gifts a parent can give their kids sometimes is to say the words, "I went about this the wrong way."
Not the thing is wrong, but I went about it the wrong way.
I don't think
Exactly. It's not what you say so much as how you say it.
this is wise. I want to take you to coffee and say, "Hey, let me walk you through why I'm making this choice." Because I'll tell you this, and everybody's can disagree with me. That's fine. But after working in colleges for 20 years, 4 different ones across a couple of states, and consulting in a gajillion more, if my kids decide to go to college, one of my rules is you have to live on campus. Because I want them to experience a bunch of different people and learn about how other people do life. That's different. That's a different philosophy. But here's the deal. Your kid is going to say, I'm going to go for this one then. So you set a set of rules. Great. Either live and die by it.
I want Dad to spend some time talking about why.
Well,
Why?
I actually want Mom and Dad to sit down and say,
Okay.
do we actually both believe this?
Okay, and then why?
Because it sounds like Mom made a line and Dad's just going along with it.
But why?
But why
And
is
stick
right.
with it. Why?
That's right.
You got.
Okay, that's the end of the video. I think it's really, really important, and I think they're right. The parents must absolutely show unity on this. But you can see, okay, and I know, like I said, no, I don't have children, but I work with kids all day, and of course, I've spent 18 years talking to parents, and there is a real sense of emotion. A lot of the student loan debt that parents get themselves into, okay, I generally believe it's emotion based. Okay, I want to give the kid everything I didn't have. I want to give them the best education, but there's got to be a line drawn somewhere where the parents are not put at financial risk, where all the kids are treated, as equally as possible. Life isn't totally fair, and circumstances change. But honestly, in this case, I didn't hear anything about what the parents were. What about their rules and procedures that I would go, oh my goodness, that's just horrible and awful. I didn't hear anything like that. So, anyways, well, I'm going to make this a double upload just for fun because this video just literally came out hours ago and I had a little extra time to kill. So, I'll treat you to, I guess, an upload this morning I gave you, and we'll do this one in just a few minutes. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all Monday morning with my uploads at 7 a.m. Hey, I'm trying to give you content. I'm trying. Bye.